Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. Took forever for the video to start. I'm having problems with Facebook. I've been trying to load my Tuesday tips since Tuesday, and it won't load on my professional page. So probably too many people on Facebook. So good morning, it's Friday. So we've been talking about the steps to creating lasting change and how lasting change happens. And last time we talked about that first thing you need to, there's 3 steps, and the first thing you need to do is get leverage. And the way that you get leverage is you feel that this must change, I must change it, and I must change it now. And the great way to get leverage is to look at what the long-term ramifications are. People that don't change, even though they intellectually know they should, do that because they focus on the short-term pain and not the long-term pain. Remember that our body, our brains we're always trying to avoid pain and gain pleasure. So like when people don't quit smoking, they intellectually know that smoking is terrible for them and they don't want to die. Nobody wants to die. So why is it that they don't quit smoking? Well, because they focus on the short-term sacrifice, that I'm quitting something, that I'm giving something up. They don't look at the long-term pain. If all of a sudden they walk into a doctor and the doctor says, well, now you have cancer, and if you don't quit, you're going to die. Well, now they typically have enough leverage that long-term pain has now become current, has now become a reality, and now it's easier for them to quit smoking. But see, we can take that long-term pain and bring it in closer now so that we don't have to wait until we have cancer in order to quit. So, but the point is, you got to get enough leverage that it's got to change, and it's got to change now. Then the second thing I talked to you about yesterday was you got to interrupt your pattern. And usually physiology is a great way to do that. A radical change in physiology is a great way to radically interrupt your pattern. And it depends on what you're trying to do as to how you interrupt your pattern. But we got to look at this as like a record. You know, if vinyl has made enough of a comeback that we can talk about it, you're playing a record every time. Every day you get up that you're running these patterns, you're playing the same record. And because it's grooved in there so well, every time you put it on, you play the same. So you can't just put one record on top of another record. You've got to take that other record off, which means you have to scratch it. You have to scratch it so that it can't be played. And if you do that, then it'll create space for your body to start playing another record. So an example of that is if you're going to quit, if you want to lose weight, go on a fast. You want to lose weight, then you want to do something where you go to an event and don't eat anything. Good morning, Tracy. It is great to see you. I hope everybody's awesome. So the third stage, so we want to get leverage, we want to interrupt our pattern, and then we want to condition our new pattern. Remember, we're always trying to avoid pain and gain pleasure, always. So we've got to make changing pleasurable and not changing pain. So let's stop and think about that for a minute, because that's a huge moment. We've got to make changing pleasurable and not changing painful. We got to make it so that if we don't change, that's going to equal pain. Okay? Well, how do we do that? Well, one way I've told you about is that you go into the future and you focus on what's going to happen in the future if you don't change. This is a good exercise to do by yourself. This is a good exercise to do where you're, almost in a meditation kind of state where you're focusing on what's going on in your life, and you look forward and you feel the feelings of what's going to happen if I don't change. See yourself in the future thinking about, if I don't change, what am I going to be like in 5 years? What am I going to be like in 10 years? What am I going to be like in 15 years? That should be enough to give you leverage. And by the way, many times when you get leverage, you also interrupt the pattern at the same time. A lot of times those things go hand in hand. If there's a big enough event that'll shock you, it'll give you leverage and it'll interrupt your pattern, and those things will happen simultaneously. But let's talk about some ways where you might actually do this. Okay, so let's say that you want to quit smoking. Okay, that's a really good one to talk about in terms of how you do these stages. So number one, stop focusing on the short term and focus on the long term. Imagine yourself in your doctor's office 5 years from now, and the doctor says you have terminal lung cancer and you're going to live for 18 months. Imagine that you had to face that moment. Imagine that you then have to go talk to your spouse. Imagine that you then have to go talk to your kids. Imagine the loss. If you have a daughter, you're not going to be able to walk down the aisle. If you have a grandkid that you're not going to be able to see be born, you have to pour on the losses that are going to happen as a result of this. You have to feel the pain. One of the reasons that we don't ever change is because we use language to soften. And we also use our identity as a way to say that it's not possible. Well, that's just who I am, I'm just a smoker, I'm just a drinker, I'm just big boned, it's hereditary. This is just the way things are. Well, that's not true. It doesn't matter what your hereditary is. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. None of that matters. The past doesn't equal the future unless you live there. And if you really want to change, it absolutely can happen. And if you want examples, go on YouTube and start finding people who have done unbelievable changes in their life, because they're out there. They're astonishing. The levels of example cannot be measured, and neither can you. So you need to pour it on. If you really want leverage, you've got to really feel it. Those are the types of things that you got to do. So first, think of what you would lose if you keep on this path. What do you lose if you keep smoking? Imagine you get the virus and you're not able to fight it off because of your compromised lung capacity. Okay, just keep thinking about all of those things. Add that stuff up. Then you have to massively interrupt your pattern, and the way to do that, obviously, is to stop. Is to absolutely stop. And then like I said, when it comes to smoking, I've seen people do some radical things. I've seen people crumple up the cigarettes and eat them. That way that their association to that smell is no longer that they go into state and they can feel the addiction. Now it makes them sick. Just like if you drink a huge amount of alcohol in one evening and you can no longer drink that alcohol ever again. Well, you've interrupted your pattern with regards to that particular alcohol. So, I mean, whatever it takes in order to get yourself to interrupt that pattern, those are the types of things that you do. So then you've got to condition the new belief. You've got to condition the new pattern. Well, how do you do that? So number one, language. Don't say I'm giving up smoking, because that says to your body that you're losing something, so that feels like a sacrifice. So instead, say I'm exchanging smoking for breathing. I'm deciding to live a long, healthy life. I'm deciding I'm not going to die of cancer. I'm deciding that I'm going to breathe again. And then make commitments. Continue to get yourself leverage, but make the commitments also ways that you can get a positive reinforcement. Who can you commit to that you're going to do this, that you're going to keep your integrity and not disappoint that person? A lot of times that's a family member, a child, a spouse, a grandchild. Who else can you commit to that if you do this, then create something positive, okay? Once I quit smoking and I've done it, remember also, by the way, when you're instilling new patterns, only takes a few weeks. 21 days and you've created a new habit. There is an addiction portion to nicotine, but that's typically gone in 7 days. And in alcohol, it's 24 hours. So after that, your body's physical addiction stuff is not there, okay? Now, if you're a severe alcoholic, all right, now that's a different situation. It's going to take a little bit longer. But again, few weeks, and that part's over. The addiction part is over. Now it's just all mental. Now it's just that you've run that record. So what else can you reward yourself with in the event that you are, when you are successful for this? And got to watch language. When you are successful for this, what can you get yourself? What is it that would motivate you? Is it a trip? Is it an outfit? Is it You're going to get new teeth. What is it? With regards to smoking. Let's do it with regards to eating. So first of all, you got to get leverage. Think about the long-term impact. Think about how you would feel if you lived your life this way, if you never lost the weight. Think about the health impacts. Think about how much you're going to miss out on. You don't have the energy level. You can't go play with your kids. You can't go play with your grandkids. You can't go out and do the stuff that you would like to do. Imagine your grandkids want you to go play ball, or they want you to go for a bike ride and you can't do it. They want you to walk around the mall and you can't do it. Pour it on, okay? Lay it on. Lay on all of this stuff. What are you going to lose? I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose. And then really feel the feelings. Then massively interrupt your pattern. I think a couple a day or even a week juice fast is a wonderful thing to do because it'll reset your taste buds and it'll massively interrupt your pattern. You won't have these habitual things that you think that you need to eat. And then use your language. I'm no longer digging my grave with my teeth. And think about all the things that you'll gain. Put up a picture that you look at every morning and every night. This is what I'm going to look like. This is where I've headed. This is what I'm doing. And then just keep working towards that every day, making strides. And put it in sizable patterns. One of the things AA does is they don't think about not drinking for the rest of their life. They only think about getting through this hour, and then this day, and then the next day, and then the next day. So don't think about how you're going to do it for the rest of your life. Think about how you're going to do it for today, if that's helpful. That's another way that you can do it. Buy an outfit that you're going to wear when the weight comes off. Get rid of your fat clothes. Go through your closet. Take all your fat clothes and put them on fire because you're never going to need them again. Whatever those things can do that you need to do the condition, commit to other people. This is what I'm going to do. And give them the ability to hold you accountable. Okay? If you don't stay with it, then make it so that something happens. Don't soften. Give them the opportunity to do something that is going to impact you. And if you got to use the stick, then use the stick. If you have a food that you hate and you're truly accountable with them, if you really want to change, there's ways to do this, okay? There's absolutely ways to do this. So let's say that you hate liver, okay? You hate fried liver and onions. So every time that you eat the way you're not supposed to, they get to come over and feed you fried liver and onions for as long as they want. That's a way that'll get you leverage. And you know what? You might not like it, but your body's going to start to associate that with the wrong activity. Your brain doesn't want you to feel discomfort unless there's some good reason for it. So if all of a sudden your brain says, wait a minute, if you go eat this stuff, this person's going to come over and feed us this crap that we hate, it's not going to encourage you to do that activity anymore. It's going to tell you not to do it. And by the way, when you get that craving, this is where you use your physiology. So you use your language to make it more positive. I'm not digging my grave with my teeth. Then use your physiology. When you feel that craving, get up, move, and go walk. If you ever watch The Biggest Loser, whenever somebody has an emotional problem, because the reason they're as big as they are is it's an emotional issue, correct? There's something behind why they eat the way they do. As they start to peel away the layers and the emotions come out, they deal with the emotional issue at the moment, and then they immediately have them go exercise. If you go back and watch the original Biggest Losers, those people are great neurolinguistic programmers. Why do they have them do that? Because in the past, in order to feel good, what those people have done is eat. Because it creates a biological change in their body. Food goes into their stomach, blood goes into the stomach, so they have less energy and they feel less stressed. So instead of that relationship, what the trainer does is says, okay, we just went through something emotional. We're now going to go exercise because now your body's going to release endorphins when you exercise, and that's going to become your new addiction. So a way to get addicted to exercise is whenever you're feeling stressed, whenever you're feeling something is going wrong, go exercise. the endorphins will happen, and pretty soon, it only takes a couple of weeks, pretty soon now that's going to be your pattern. When you feel bad, you're not going to want to go eat, you're going to want to go exercise. Same with smoking. When the cravings come, go exercise. You need to force yourself to do that for a few weeks, and then pretty soon, that's what your body's going to want to do. Same with alcohol, because that exercise releases those endorphins, and your body's going to get addicted to those endorphins. People that are addicted to exercise are addicted to it the exact same way as people that are addicted to eating, to cigarettes, and to alcohol. It's the exact same addiction. So you don't have to not become an addict. Just become addicted to the right things. Instead of being addicted to chips, be addicted to running. And then you're going to look the way that you want to look, and you're also going to be a lot healthier. And if you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then swim. And if you can't, and again, if there's some language that you have that you're incanting to yourself, you're doing incantations that you can't do this, remember, if you can't, then you must. And go on YouTube, because there's always people. I saw a video of a kid who was a high school swimming star that did it without arms. He swam and won swim meets without arms. He only had his feet. And he would slam his head into the wall at the end when he had won. And the kid won like all kinds of championships. Are you kidding me? He won swimming championships without freaking arms. I mean, come on. Anything is possible if you really commit to it. So you get leverage, you massively interrupt your pattern, and then you positively condition the new outcome. And there's a million ways to do this. Focus on the problems that you're going to have in the future. Focus on what you're going to lose. Focus on how much you're hurting other people. We'll do more for other people than we will for ourselves. Then interrupt that pattern. Do something radical to interrupt that pattern, and then instill a new one. When you feel the addiction, go exercise. Commit to other people and give them the ability to hold you accountable. Don't soften this. If you truly want to change, then you got to give somebody the stick too. You need the carrot and the stick. We need both in order to change. Teach your brain that it's going to be more pleasure to change than to not change, and it'll absolutely change. And then, by the way, think about how proud people are going to be of you when you do this. There's nothing greater than having somebody come up and say, hey, have you lost weight? There's nothing greater than having somebody come up to you and say, man, you look amazing. There's nothing greater than somebody saying, good for you. You've quit smoking. I'm coming up on 9 years without alcohol in July. And every time I say I haven't drank for 9 years, people that don't even know who I am, if they hear somebody say something like that, they'll stop and say, good for you. That's a good thing. Well, it's nice to hear. It makes you feel proud that you were able to accomplish that. Make yourself feel proud about yourself, because you should. Happy Friday. It's nice and warm outside. Thank God we had beautiful spring rains. We're going to get through this, everybody. Things are starting to open up. Have a great day.